Picture two teams, same skills, same budget. Team A delivers late with features nobody wants. Team B ships early and customers love what they build. The only difference? Team A was running a project. Team B was building a product. This is the fundamental reason Scrum works for some and completely fails for others. I'm about to show you how to become Team B. Most teams think they are doing Scrum right, but there's one fundamental mistake that guarantees failure from day one. Most teams think they are doing Scrum right, but there's one fundamental mistake that guarantees failure from day one. They are trying to run Scrum inside a project framework. Think of it like this. You are trying to grow a garden, but someone keeps putting artificial walls around each plant and telling you exactly when it needs to bloom. Projects create artificial boundaries around your work. Every project starts with a fixed launch date, a predetermined end date, and a rigid list of features that must be delivered. Your organization hands you a detailed requirements document and say, build exactly this by this date for this budget. Sounds familiar? This is how most teams approach their Scrum implementation, and it's why they struggle. Here's the contradiction that kills your Scrum efforts. Scrum was designed for continuous improvement and adaptation. You inspect what you've built, gather feedback, and adapt your approach based on what you learn. But projects demand predictable, linear progress. They want you to estimate everything upfront and stick to a plan. You can't have both. When you force Scrum into a project structure, your team starts behaving like a waterfall team, even when you're holding all the right ceremonies. Your sprint planning becomes a task breakdown session where you figure out how to deliver predetermined features. Your daily scrums turn into status reports about progress towards fixed deliverables. You are going through these motions, but you are not getting the benefits. Let's break down how project budgets and timelines conflict with sprint-based learning. In a project, someone approves a budget based on initial estimates. You get funding to build specific features over a set time frame. But what happens when you discover during Sprint 3 that users actually need something completely different? In a project, you can't change course. The budget is locked. The timeline is fixed. You have to keep building what you originally planned, even when you know it won't create value. Your sprint review becomes meaningless theater when the end goal is predetermined by project specifications. Think about your last sprint review. Did your stakeholders provide real feedback that could change what you build next? Or did they just check off complete features against the original requirements? When you are working within a project, sprint reviews can't serve their true purpose of gathering insights and adapting your direction. Project success metrics directly oppose Scrum values. Project measures success as on time, on budget, and on scope. You succeed if you deliver exactly what was planned, when it was planned, for the cost that was planned. But Scrum values responding to change over following a plan. Scrum teams succeed when they deliver valuable outcomes, not predetermined outputs. These two approaches to success cannot coexist. Your retrospectives lose their power when you are locked into project constraints. You might identify ways to work better as a team, but you can't act on insights about what to build differently. The project scope is fixed. You are stuck delivering the original plan, regardless of what you learn along the way. Even your product owner gets trapped when working within project boundaries. Instead of making ongoing decisions about what creates the most value, they become requirements manager. They clarify specifications and manage stakeholders' expectations, but they can't pivot the product direction based on user feedback or market changes. Here's what most teams don't realize. There's a completely different way to structure work that makes Scrum naturally powerful. Instead of organizing work into temporary projects with artificial endpoints, you can organize around ongoing products that evolve continuously. The fundamental difference between managing work as a project versus a product changes everything. Projects end when you deliver the predetermined scope. Products evolve continuously based on user feedback and market needs. Projects optimize for completing tasks. Products optimize for concreting value. Projects succeed when they finished on time. Products succeed when they solve real problems for real users. When you shift from project thinking to product thinking, every Scrum ceremony suddenly serves its intended purpose. Your sprint planning focuses on what will create the most value next. Your sprint reviews generate real insights that shape future development. Your retrospective can improve both how you work and what you build. But understanding the problem is just the beginning. Let's see what happens when teams make the switch and start thinking like product teams instead of project teams. Here's what happens when you remove the artificial constraints that have been sabotaging your Scrum implementation. Your team starts working the way Scrum was meant to work. Instead of fighting against rigid project boundaries, you are now working with a natural flow of product development. Products create ongoing value streams instead of temporary initiatives with arbitrary endpoints. Think of it like this. A project is like building a house. You have blueprints, a timeline, and when it's done, you are finished. A product is like tending a garden. You plant, you water, you prune, you adapt to the seasons. The garden keeps growing and producing value year after year. Your product evolves based on what your users need and how the market changes. Here's what most teams get wrong. They think they need detailed upfront planning to succeed, but product teams thrive on uncertainty and discovery. You don't need to know everything before you start. You need to know enough to take the first step. Then you learn from what happens next. Each sprint teaches you something new about your users, your market, or your technology. This learning shapes what you build in future sprints. Product goals align perfectly with Scrum empirical approach. Your product goal describes where you want your product to go, but it's flexible enough to change as you learn more. You can pivot based on what you discover each sprint. Maybe you planned to focus on new user acquisition, but your data shows that existing users are churning because of a specific pain point. In a product environment, you can shift your sprint goals to address that retention issue. Your product goal guides your direction, but it doesn't lock you into predetermined features. Product thinking enables true cross-functional teams because the focus shifts from completing tasks to solving customer problems. Instead of having developers work on their features, designers work on their mock-ups, and testers work on their test cases, everyone works together to understand the customer problem and create the best solution. Your team becomes accountable for outcomes, not just outputs. You are not just shipping features, you are solving real problems for real people. Sprint planning becomes strategic when teams can choose what to build next based on real user feedback and data. You are not just breaking down predetermined requirements. You are making informed decisions about what will create the most value for your users and your business. Your sprint planning session become conversations about opportunity and impact. You look at user feedback, analyze usage data, and prioritize based on what will move your product forward. The sprint goal gives you flexibility in how you achieve your objective while keeping everyone aligned on what you are trying to accomplish. The product owner role transformed from a requirements gatherer to a value maximizer with ongoing decision-making authority. Instead of collecting stakeholder requests and writing detailed specifications, your product owner becomes responsible for maximizing the value of the product. They make decisions about what to build next based on user feedback, market data, and business priorities. They don't just manage a backlog of features, they shape the product's direction sprint by sprint. The entire organization must respect the product owner's decisions for them to succeed in this role. Your Scrum ceremonies finally serve the intended purpose when you embrace product thinking. Sprint reviews become genuine feedback sessions where stakeholders see working software and provide insights that shape future development. Your retrospectives can address both how you work and what you build. Daily Scrums focus on progress towards sprint goals that actually matter to users. Every ceremonies contributes to your team's ability to inspect and adapt. This shift doesn't just improve Scrum ceremonies, it completely changes how teams think about success. Success isn't about delivering predetermined features on schedule. Success is about creating value for users and achieving meaningful business outcomes. Your team starts measuring progress differently. Instead of tracking completed story points, you track user satisfaction, feature adoption, and business metrics that matter. Scrum implementations fail in traditional project structures because Scrum's strength lies in continuous adaptation and value delivery, which projects inherently restrict. Scrum is founded on empirism and lean thinking, employing an iterative incremental approach to optimize predictability and control risk. The Scrum team is expected to adapt the moment it learns anything new through inspection. Projects prevent this adaptation by locking teams into predetermined plans and budgets. Now you understand why the switch matters, but how do you actually make it happen in your organization? The reason Team B succeeds isn't just because they think differently. They structured their work to match how value is actually created in the modern world. They understand that Scrum is intentionally incomplete and build upon it with their collective intelligence to solve real problems for real users. Here's your challenge. Identify one project in your organization that could become a product. Take the first step toward continuous value delivery. Start asking what problem you are solving instead of what features you are building. This single shift will transform not just your Scrum implementation, but your entire team's relationship with the work.